YouTube is out to be the king of creator communities, but they're increasing ads to pay for it. Google is totally cool with AI, unless it's images on your blog post. LinkedIn is actually going to allow us to opt out of our content being borrowed to train AI. And X is not political this week. Well, kind of. Hey, I'm Jason, faith-based entrepreneur and marketing geek. Timestamps and sources below, along with a link to today's sponsor, us. Again, I guess I'll stop making that joke since it's the third time. It is our funnel template pack that has our best performing funnel pages, an email campaign, and course framework to help you go from idea to sales as quickly as possible. Check that out in the link in the description below. 100% free templates using 100% free software. No silly 14 or 30-day trials there. Now, YouTube, with their recent event Made on YouTube, which ironically wasn't posted to YouTube, but we'll still be able to go through all the updates anyway, is really showcasing how they are doubling down on trying to be the actual best platform for us as business owners and content creators, and actually giving us tools so we can make money. Because apparently the other social media platforms don't seem to understand that at the end of the day, to get creators on their platform, you need to give them an easy way to actually make an income so they can keep making awesome content. So anyway, there are a lot of updates that came out of this event. So we'll rapid fire through the ones that are just kind of meh, and then jump into the few that I think are really going to matter and telegraph exactly where YouTube is trying to go with all of these updates. So number one, auto dubbing is going to be a thing. So when you upload a video, you can actually select which languages you want your video to be auto dubbed by YouTube into. So that's pretty cool. Then these next couple are just for shorts creators. So I'm going to really rapid fire through these. Number one, you're going to be able to use AI content or an AI generator if you want to make like a 6-second full-on clip, which means YouTube is cool with AI as long as you tell them that you're using AI. And then next, there's a feature called Jewels, which is apparently like a copy of something you can do on TikTok where people are watching your video and they can send you, virtual stickers and you make some money off of it. Kind of a non-feature, I think. And then we have Hype, which is like trending for up-and-coming creators. So if your channel's between like 5,000 or 500,000 subs, yes, YouTube considers a channel with 500,000 subs a small channel. So apparently we all have a really long way to go. But essentially, people can not only like your video, but they can hype it. And then if it gets enough hypes, it'll show up on a special hype trending page that's different than the other trending page. This is not being tested in the US, and so I highly doubt that this is going to make it that far, but YouTube is confident enough with it that they bothered to include it in their event. And then, of course, the final update here is a rapid fire update, is going to be the fact that YouTube is going to copy Netflix for TV screens. So we'll have some sort of features in the future where we can make seasons for our playlists, and it's going to essentially look like Netflix on a television screen. Because apparently a lot of creators are making a lot of money from viewers on a TV, which I guess means 4K is actually starting to be important. Actually, it's part of why I started going through the pain of rendering this show in 4K, although the file sizes are absurdly large. And of course, my poor little MacBook Air goes crazy every time I ask it to render. So that does it for the updates. Now at least we're all in the know of what YouTube would like to roll out. They weren't exactly clear with when these features are coming and why, but there are two features that I think are going to be valuable and important to us. And the first one is the redesigned comments tab inside of our Creator Studio. They're essentially calling it like community hubs or something. And so what I think this is doing is this is telegraphing to everyone that YouTube wants to be the central place for not only your public YouTube videos or whatever, but also your paid content and your communities as well. Because with the launch of communities, they've essentially copied Facebook and LinkedIn groups. Like that's pretty much what it is. Like, you know what a Facebook group is? So we probably know what the YouTube communities is going to look like as well. And so what I think this is doing is this is telegraphing to everybody that YouTube wants to be the central place for our content and our communities and our digital products, as long as it's a video format, right? And so looking at this, essentially YouTube saying, hey, do you use, one of these features, like one of these other softwares like School, ClickFunnels, Kajabi, Teachable, Patreon? Well, why not? Why are you sending traffic off of YouTube? Why don't you just keep everything here? And of course, our response would correctly be, why don't you just give us an integration like you did with Shopify, right? So we can still own our actual community and memberships. But YouTube they're smart enough to know that a lot of new creators are having headaches around using all those other tools to try and set up their community, set up their course, set up their digital products or membership sites. And so YouTube's essentially saying, hey, guess what? We have channel memberships. We're going to roll out courses. It's in their support help, even though it hasn't been promoted all that much. And now they're rolling out communities, which means in the future you could probably have private communities, something like like Discord, where you have different levels. And so I think that's totally possible. And so we're looking at a world where YouTube is essentially saying, hey, you can do it all on our platform, and you don't have to pay anything. And for a new creator, that is actually awesome, because I can tell you from personal experience, trying to set up a membership site using WordPress, MemberPress, MemberMouse, OptimizePress, I tried all of them in 2017 to 18, and I was brand new, right? I'm working part-time on this business. I'm brand new. I have like 15, 20 hours a week, absolute max. And I'm spending 10 of it like trying to figure out WordPress. This is an absolute game changer, because as a new creator or business owner, you can now just use all the YouTube stuff and you don't have to worry about any of that. Of course, there's a little asterisk here. Number one, they are going to take their cut, right? They do need to get paid. So they're going to take the standard 30%, which, given all of the stuff that they do for you, especially since you're saying, hey, I don't have to deal with merchant accounts, I don't have to deal with chargebacks, with customer support, like Google's going to fight for you on people asking for refunds on your courses. This is, or I should say YouTube, this is pretty awesome. Now, do I think that if you have been doing this for a year or two, that you should leave the platforms that you've already set up and go all in on YouTube? Well, of course not, right? There is some problems in having all of your eggs in one basket. But for people who are just getting started, like maybe month 2 or 3, or maybe they're 2 years or less, and they're still struggling to get all that tech stuff to work, this is awesome, because it is infinitely better to have all your eggs in one basket and actually have the basket worth something as opposed to having a small channel and a half-done membership site because, some WordPress thing isn't working, or you just haven't had time to figure out how to set up Kajabi or ClickFunnels correctly. So I think this is really awesome, especially for helping a lot of people get up and running faster and focusing on what actually matters, which is the content, right? Because the more time you spend learning a software, it's less time you're creating an awesome product or creating more content to grow your audience. And the final update that they have is rolling out a new Inspirations tab, which is essentially designed to help you come up with content ideas. I think this has the potential to actually be helpful, because hypothetically, it should be looking at your YouTube data, and it can use other YouTube data to figure out what it should, or what it suggests as a content idea. But when you look at the preview here, you can see that when it gives thumbnail ideas, those are just generic AI outputs. Like nobody uses those as thumbnails. So I think that there's a potential that this is going to be a kind of land flat, kind of like when they said, oh, we're giving you keyword research tools, and then they just give you super obvious keywords. Like I'll click on a Google Ads tutorial, and the 3 keywords are going to be Google Ads, how to use Google Ads tutorial. And I go, okay, thanks guys. I could have figured that out on my own. Do you have like longer tail keywords? Do you have some deeper suggestions? And of course, that tool went nowhere. The answer was no. So while I'm excited that, hey, maybe it could like use our YouTube data and use comments and actually start coming up with ideas, it really just looks like another AI tool that's been slapped on top of something else, where it's literally just a basic prompt in the background, and it's not actually pulling in the data that you'd want it to be pulling in. But hey, fingers crossed that it actually does something. Now, on the subject of AI, we have another Google update, and this has to do with Google search. So over on Google search, they of course are increasing the amount of times their AI summary comes up. So according to Search Engine Land, 15 to 20%, or if a user is logged in, they're 15 to 20% more likely to see a AI summary than someone who's not logged into Google when they go and do a Google search. And so long story short, this means that Google really is pushing this AI summary thing. It really stinks for anyone who's worked hard on a blog, because we all know where they got the content for those AI things. They didn't hire content writers. They just scraped all our sites and kept the traffic, or keeping the traffic for themselves. But when it comes to AI images, Google and a bunch of other tech companies have decided they want to know when we're using AI images. So when they go train their AI models, they don't tell anyone. They say, hey, we have this awesome model. We used your content. You go, okay, great. Well, at least I can use your AI model to make my content better and make some awesome images. And then they turn around and say, yes, you can, but you gotta tell us. You gotta tell us. So we have essentially two options here. We can accept this proposed open transparency thing of all of these AI tools tagging AI images, or images that have been edited with AI. That's the kind of scary part here too, right? Like you use a tool to, you use an automatic filter, and all of a sudden your real photo is considered AI. So I'm going to say, let's reject this. And there's two routes you could take. Number one is this site that I'm totally blanking on, but 10 minutes on Reddit, and I was able to figure out that this tool licensed via a MIT academic license can probably work for you, where essentially if you generate an image, you can strip out all of the metadata so that when you upload it to your blog, it doesn't scream to Google, I was made with AI. And of course, my preference is using a tool like Canva, like I use for all of these. I think that we should tell people if we generate stuff with AI. You'll notice that all of the articles that I use in these episodes, I clearly say that it was generated in Canva if it's an image, and then the majority of these summaries are actually use AI. So I'll type up my little script here, and then I'll ask AI to go find sources and use my script and give it a much more polished feel, because my chicken scratch in Google Docs is not going to really be helpful to anybody. So I think those are your two options. I'm still a big fan of making sure that you future-proof all of your content, because we have no idea where regulation is going with AI. So the last thing we need is some regulation like 3 or 4 years from now coming out, and then anything that AI has remotely touched suddenly gets deranked or delisted, or a giant notification on Instagram shows up, right? They're actually shrinking the AI notifications, but you never know. Like this thing in California, they want everyone to have a kill switch if it's above a certain amount. So we just don't know. So I'm just saying you should probably protect yourself. A couple of rapid fire things. So number one, Canva had some major updates to their platform. I think that their pricing increase would have come across a lot better if they had done this before they announced the price increase, but go figure. So something we can learn from Canva: share the awesome features and then tell your customers that you're increasing their pricing 300%. Go figure. So here we go. Number one, Docs got a major update. I'm actually excited about this because it means that you could probably start using Docs for your worksheets for your courses or digital products, or even your lead magnets or ebooks. Just again, you don't want to use Canva for the EPUB format, which is what Kindle requires, right? But as long as you're delivering your content via a blog or a newsletter or email, this is going to be awesome, because you can now have page breaks. You can now have page breaks. I still said breaks. You can now have page breaks inside of Canva. There is a awesome suggesting tool, so you can go into suggesting mode if you're collaborating with other people. And my main gripe has finally been fixed. There are now document outlines, because you can have heading like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this means if you have a really long document, like say a script for a Google Ads tutorial that's 2 hours long, you can now have sections and you can click directly to those sections, which is pretty awesome. The other updates you'll notice as you go through this episode, most of the images that I use for the articles are generated with the Canva AI using the Dreamy feature. So you can see how that stacks up to whatever tool you're using. And also the intro ding for the logo and the new outro that we have for this show was also used the Canva AI music feature. And I really like this because as awesome as the Canva audio library is, or if you're doing Epidemic Sound, Story Blocks, or even Envato, you'll still get content strikes, and you'll still have to go through the process of, hey, I have the license for this, or I have the license for that, or in the case of some of them, like, hey, I paid for this license 5 years ago, please uncopyright strike my video. So I'm really excited about the audio side of things, although all of those services are still going to give you way better audio outputs than what AI can do at this point. Also, something interesting to keep your eye on, if you really still don't want to show your face for some reason, and you skipped last week's episode, then they have this presenter feature, which I think would be great if you want to put yourself in the top, if you want to put an AI in the top corner and have the AI talk instead of you. So pretty cool. The next update we have is Threads now allows us to have 20 images in their carousels, pretty much telling everybody, we know you're not posting to it and you just want to syndicate your Instagram content over there. So now when you post a carousel to Instagram, which is a 20 image limit, it can also go to Threads. I don't really think it's a major or important update at all. And apparently X is back in Brazil, at least for now, or kind of. I'll let you know when it's actually official. So let's move on to something that is cool and awesome for us. LinkedIn is actually giving us the ability to not have our content used for the generation of, or the teaching of their AI. So I recommend taking 5 minutes, just head over to your LinkedIn profile, mouse over your profile image at the top here, click settings and privacy. And then under data privacy here, you can go ahead and select data for generative AI improvement, and then just flick this off. And now LinkedIn, according to their privacy policy, won't borrow all of your content for whatever it's generating. Of course, we already know that other companies like Facebook took everything from like 2017 forward, or 2007 forward, to generate their AI. But at least Facebook is now giving away that AI for free. So we're fast approaching a world where you post anything, I mean, it's probably in someone's AI model somewhere, irrespective of how you thought it was going to be used or how you actually wanted it to be used. So I would say 2 thumbs up for LinkedIn for actually having the decency to at least give us the option to opt out, even though it's automatically turned on for everyone. And I think 99.9% of people on LinkedIn will never even know that this was a thing. So finally, let's wrap up with Twitter. I always like putting Twitter last. So last week, I talked about the importance of Twitter leaning into the non-media categories that had to do with like sports and gaming, and less with the news and political stuff. Because even though this graph clearly shows that, news and politics is like slot 4 or 5, for the most part, the general brand perception of Twitter is that's all that goes on the platform, which is something that they obviously need to fix, because the perception of a brand like your brand is very important. Sometimes perception is more important than reality, especially when it comes to growth and sales. And so good on them. It turns out that they have some partnerships that are in line with sports. They have this show called The Off Season, and then they're actually going to be streaming a women's track meet up in New York. I keep saying up in New York, like I'm in the States. I'm not in the States. Over in New York. So this is just a good sign that Twitter at least recognizes that they do need to cater to more mainstream entertainment style content if they're going to be seen as a viable video platform. And of course, I am all for it. So I'm going to keep rooting for Twitter because it is a freer platform in terms of what they do allow compared to some of the others. And I think if Twitter can be successful in that, we might be able to see some loosening grips on some of the other platforms as well. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this episode. Go ahead and comment below with any of your questions or Let me know feedback on what types of stories you'd like to see more of, or maybe more importantly, which ones you'd like to see less of. I'm very excited for the changes YouTube is making, especially since we're pretty much coming to a day where YouTube, X, Instagram, and Twitter pretty much have the same features, right? So it'll be interesting to see how these platforms continue to develop. And of course, we want them to, because at the end of the day, they want us as creators to keep posting to their platforms. And so the more they compete for our content, the better it's going to be for us. So hit that like button, subscribe for more shows, subscribe for more shows coming soon, as well as some awesome, more in-depth tutorials, whether it's building funnels or Google Ads. And until the next, keep building the business you love.